Did you know that there are actually only 3 steps you need in order to get pretty much anything you want out of life? Literally, all you have to do is follow these steps consistently over a long period of time, and you will be able to accomplish anything. Pretty much doesn't matter what it is. Now, there are some caveats to this. If you're like 4 foot tall, you're probably not going to be a professional basketball player. But generally speaking, if you're 4 foot tall, you don't really want to be either, because you already kind of go, well, that's beyond me. So I'm not going to say that you can accomplish anything and everything with this, although who knows, the power of the mind. But all things considered, generally speaking, anything that you want for your life can be achieved with just 3 steps. Now, the first step is obviously you have to pick what you want. You have to decide on what path you want to follow. And I know that this one sounds really simple, but actually people struggle with it quite a bit. Realistically, though, I would say everybody wants the same thing. We all want to be happy. We all want to move forward in our life. We all want to grow. We all want to learn. We all want to become better. And even though you may not agree with individual bits of that, generally speaking, I think everybody can understand this concept. And what we're trying to do when we're figuring out what we want to pursue is figure out what will make us the happiest, what will give us the life that we're looking for. So your goal ultimately is to be happier, to have a more fulfilling life. And then you're just kind of sussing out what will get you there. And once you've determined what path you want to follow to potentially help you with that endeavor, that's when you move on to step 2, which is you have to set up a system, which essentially means you have to find steps that will move you toward your goal every single day. And generally speaking, you want to have something that you can do every single day, because the more you can incorporate this into your life and make a habit of it, the easier it's going to be to do something consistently and then get the result that you're looking for. So when it comes to, say, losing weight, for example, you have to find a system of eating that you continue to do for the rest of your life in order to actually achieve that goal, which is easier said than done, obviously. Now, I definitely have my ideas of what works best for people, which is focus on your protein, take your vitamins, give your body the nourishment it needs, and generally speaking, it will take care of itself. It will do the work for you. But not everybody agrees with that step. And when it comes to making money, you've got people who are like, hey, I like the 9 to 5 environment. I like working a job. I feel like I'm doing okay. And then you've got other people like me who are like, I cannot stay in a 9 to 5 job for more than 6 months without becoming thoroughly depressed. And they need to find another route. So whatever path you want to follow, you have to determine what steps will get you there. When it comes to getting a job, those steps are pretty well laid out for us. You apply for jobs, you go to interviews, eventually somebody will hire you. As far as building a business is concerned, though, it essentially comes down to really simple steps as well. You have to find a product, sell that product, and repeat. Not that complicated. Now, obviously, the steps in between may be a little bit finicky or challenging to figure out, and there are obviously people who can give you more advice on that, and I'll go into more details in future videos. But the reality is the steps are not that challenging either. You just have to figure out, you have to ask yourself the question, what can I do today to move me toward my goal? And generally speaking, you're going to come up with something. Something's going to help you move forward or progress toward that goal. And that's all you got to do. Which brings us to the third step, which is by far the hardest step anybody has to do in their lives at any given time, which is to never, ever back down. And this is shockingly difficult. It is amazing how hard it is to believe in your goal and to trust that things will work out. You can look at my YouTube channel as a prime example of this, because I have been working on this forever and I'm obviously not where I want to be with it. I do have an amazing community, though. I've got people who are probably just as invested in me succeeding as I am, which is great. But obviously this is not enough to sustain a business. This is not something that can give me the life that I'm looking for. So I'm still trying to figure this out. And it is really, really hard to continue to work and build and grow and learn on YouTube when you're just not getting the results that you're looking for. And so that doubt starts to seep in where you're like, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe this isn't the path for me. Maybe I'm supposed to be doing something else. Maybe I'm just not meant to have success. It works for other people, but maybe it just isn't going to work for me. Maybe these steps that everybody says work just don't agree with my lifestyle. Maybe the universe has something against me. And all of those doubts just start to build, and eventually you feel depressed and sad and dejected and heavy, and life just feels hard. And that is the time where you really have to dig in and say, do I want this? Am I willing to keep moving forward? And that's what I've been dealing with my YouTube channel, where I'm like, I want this. I know that I want this. I'm going to continue to work on it. And I'm going to try to figure out what it is that I'm not doing that I need to be doing to get it to function better. And maybe I am doing everything right. Maybe you're doing everything right. And we're just not giving it enough time. And often that's actually the case. Losing weight, for example. Often we look at this and we go, well, I need to lose 10 pounds by next month. That's not a realistic goal. How do we know that? Because your body only burns, say, 2,000 calories a day, which means you can't even burn a pound in a day unless you work out like ridiculously, which most people aren't going to be able to do. So oftentimes we have these unrealistic expectations, then feed into our doubts and urge us to quit, when the reality is if you want something, you have to keep going. So that is the final step, the one that you have to get used to, the one that you have to really dig into, to really understand and work through in order to achieve success. Because ultimately the steps are not difficult. Figuring out what you want isn't that difficult, but keeping going on the path even when it seems like there's no hope on the horizon, that's the hard part. And ultimately that's what's going to determine whether you get what you want or not.